Technology Security and Data Privacy Officer at Vodafone India Limited, with over 20 years of experience in cybersecurity domain and governance structure. Rounding off the panel, we welcome Mr. S.T. Abbas, Senior DDG and Head TEC, also holding additional charge CMD TCIL, with over 35 years of experience in telecom standards, certifications, spectrum management, and network regulation. I would request all the panelists to please come forward for a quick photograph. Thank you, sirs. Please take your seats. Let's engage deeply on how to balance innovation with privacy and trust. I now hand over to Dr. Tangirala Ji to begin the session. Thank you.
Chairman Trai, Member Mr. Mittar, distinguished delegates, my fellow panelists, I welcome everyone to this second session. The clock is already ticking, so I will be brief in my opening remarks because I come between the audience and the distinguished panelists, which I don't intend to do. The session title is Building Customer Trust Through AI-Driven Operations. The importance of trust was highlighted, among others, by Mr. Shantigram Jagannath as well, when he was speaking about AI through telecom networks and the at-scale problems that we could try and solve through telecommunications. Now, while customers may not interact with AI models directly, they are affected by the outcomes of the decisions. And therefore, you know, whether it's outage management, service continuity, grievance handling, you know, while efficiencies may improve, the responsibility for decision integrity ultimately remains with the telecom service providers. And clear and proactive communication with the customers would become very important. And that is where, you know, there are impactful applications of AI in telecoms, in spam and fraud prevention. The chairperson, Trai, had mentioned in his opening remarks about how 2.1 million numbers were disconnected using AI-based tracking. But the challenge is also that we need to reduce this spam while minimizing false positives, avoiding customer inconvenience, and fully respecting privacy and regulatory requirements. So that is always a big concern. Then, of course, this whole issue of the human in the loop or human in the mix. We need this automation to have an element of human control, that is, so that the system does not run away with, you know, with its own decisions. So we have, for all these issues and more, we have eminent speakers here from the both from the service providers, from the R&D, and as well as from the standard setting body of DOT. I will request each of them to give their thoughts, and then maybe a few of them have presentations to make. I'll request them to keep it to about 5 minutes or so that we have time for further discussions on this. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll, you know, I'll request first Mr. Julian Gorman, Head APAC GSMA, to share his thoughts with us and, you know, make his preliminary remarks.
Sure, thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to be part of this. I think it's a fantastic event, and actually the amount of people here that's gathered is testament to that. I think on innovation, you know, you mentioned actually the success so far in India blocking spam or taking action. Actually, I would like to suggest that AI should be used as a shield and enabler rather than using regulation as a fence and barrier. And the reason for is in the scam economy, regulation cannot move as fast as scammers. Scammers are not bound by geography. They're not bound by laws. They're very technically capable, and they're very well funded. They have all the things that mobile operators would like to have. And I think it's important to understand that we have to focus on stimulating innovation. At GSMA, about 12 months ago, we formed a coalition called Cross-Sector Anti-Scam Task Force. Involves more than 39 organizations from 17 countries, including the social media platforms, so Meta, Google, TikTok, AWS. And the aim was to drive or identify and prioritize initiatives and activities that we could do as an industry to help combat scam. Now, one of those activities was, let's gather what the industry is doing. Now, in just the last couple of months, across Asia Pacific, we've gathered case studies of more than 40 instances where operators, without regulation, have developed, implemented, and used successfully some sort of strategy or service to combat scam. And I think that's an indication, along with GSMA is globally working with people like Virginia Tech and with our foundry, with a proof of concept around data sharing, is the industry is focused on this. And the danger, of course, of implementing service-based rules is to restrict innovation in the future. And so we really need to focus on outcomes when it comes to regulation. And I think we all universally subscribe to the fact we need to combat scam. We need to work together, and it's not just the people in this room. We need to collaborate and work across the ecosystem to make that possible. And I think those principles actually also apply, in the broader sort of sense of the term, is how do we grow 5G? How do we make 5G meaningful to the whole economy, to all users? It's about stimulating that ecosystem and making sure that they are using 5G and 4G and mobile broadband into meaningful solutions for the population. And the important thing also for India is rising, not just economically, but also in its position in the telecom world and the GSMA sort of global ecosystem. India is a real telecom superpower, and it's on the rise. And that means actually it cannot just be worried about its domestic situation. Actually, it has to embrace that statesman role to be a global leader. And so actually considering cross-border, how does India play its role in a global ecosystem are critical to actually the sustainability and growth of the global ecosystem, of which India's vision is dependent on. It cannot exist alone. And I think it's important that when we focus on innovation and solving things like scam, it is as part of a global community. It's not just a national community. And so the actions we take, the innovations we look to stimulate, have to be part of that global solution.
Thank you. That was thought-provoking, some of the things that you said about collaborative innovation or innovation through collaboration. We will come to that in a bit when we go for the questions. So with that, now may I request Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, CEO of CDOT, for his presentation and opening remarks.
Slide changer hai. Respected TRI Chairman Lahoti sir, Mittal sir, Tangrala sir, fellow panelists, industry leaders, policy makers, experts, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me here, TRAI. I think in the previous session there was talk about how do you optimize your network, how do you self-heal your network, how do you make correction in the network. So I'm not going to talk about that, even though we also, as India, we have developed our own 4G and 5G. We used, because we were the latecomers, so we used quite a bit of AI in terms of predicting the faults, because a lot of logs are generated by various systems. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about, where is the PPT? Where is the back? So I'm going to talk about some use cases which we have developed during last few years. We are CDOT. We were established in 1984, and we had the legacy of developing the rural telecommunication. We work in primarily 3 to 4 areas: the mobile wireless, cyber security, information security, that is done by quantum. AI is a horizontal thing, and advanced telecom applications. But I will focus on, these are our product line, and all of these products actually use AI, because AI is so pervasive. Without AI you cannot function. So all these product lines, whether it is mobile, whether it is cyber security, information security, disaster management applications, are using AI in a big way. So one of the key key product what we have developed is Fraud Pro. What it does, it actually detects the fraudulent connections in the system. I think you may be aware with the cases of Jamtara, Mewat and all these SIM factories running, and these SIM factories were destroyed by this particular software. What it does, it groups all the images of the same person, because if you go and buy 500 SIMs using same Aadhaar card or same driving license, this is what was happening. So it detects that, and it not only matches the images, it also matches the demographics, name, father name, and sees that whether names and photos are same but names are different. So using, I will come to the number. I think some number was described in the beginning, that how many connections were disconnected using this software. So this is deduplication and finding the, and in fact we developed for telecom. It is being used now in, going to be used in driving license, passports, income tax deduplication, Manrega deduplications. The second one, I think this, it mentions the AI. AI analyzes 87 crore mobile numbers, and it was very well used even to find out dead bodies in the Balasore train accident. The first use case of this particular platform was to identify the dead bodies. The second one is financial risk indicator. I think you would have seen in newspapers, RBI has mandated the banks to use financial risk indicator. What it does, if A is transferring money to B, so B, the credentials of B are checked with the platform which we have developed, which we call digital intelligence platform. And the platform returns a figure that this is risky number, is medium risk or low risk. If it is a high risk number, the bank will not let that transaction happen. And it has saved a lot of fraud cases currently. And all the banks actually are using this FRI, which is able to tell that the B number where the money is going is a dangerous number or a well-identified fraudulent number. The money is stopped. The next is the Chakshu. Chakshu is again crowdsourcing platform, wherein if you get a fraudulent call or a promotional call or any kind of call, or fake KYC or faking as police, you can report, and using crowdsourcing we are able to disconnect that number, and we are able to take and this is again using our Sanchar Sathi app. Just to bring to the notice of the audience, rarely a government app has a download of 18 million plus. This is 18 million plus downloads are there, and the hits in the website of Sanchar Sathi are 25 crore. Very rarely you see in the video. So this shows the popularity of how customers are protected using the AI-based platform. This is again AI-based platform. This Tapcoff and SAIR here, I don't know how many of you have used. I would request those who have not used, please use it. In Sanchar Sathi, you go, you give your mobile number, it will tell you all the connections under your name using fuzzy logic, fuzzy AI and fuzzy logic. It doesn't ask you any other detail. And that number also we ask because we want to verify that it is you and the OTP is sent. Otherwise, no other details are asked. Just by the detail, we are able to find out how many numbers are there. And just to bring to your notice, 70 lakh connections have been disconnected using this. People have themselves disconnected their numbers because it also tells you, it is not my number, disconnect it. This was a big problem for us. When we blocked the SIMs in the country, these guys went outside and they started pumping calls using Indian numbers. It's spoof call. This technology is available. I can get call from my own number in using this. We were getting 15 million calls per day, 15 million. And now you see, this was a very complex system because when the call hits at the gateway, the system has to decide within millisecond that this call to be let it go through or block it. It has to be, decision has to be in millisecond, and it has to be zero error because no actual call should be blocked. And today we are able to do, because rigorous testing happened with all the operators, today we are able to, we have totally neutralized this. Of course, they have found another way. They have taken SIMs in places like Cambodia, Indonesia, Myanmar. From there, they are calling. So again, the AI-based system is alerting that these are the numbers of that country, and we are alerting the governments of that country. AI-based security solution, because cyber is another major area for all of us. And somebody was mentioning the AI will do cyber attacks, and it's true. We see in our system AI attacking the systems. Earlier it was human, and now it is fully AI, so you have to use AI to counter it. So the cyber security solution today, what we provide, is fully AI based, so that it can coordinate between various particular solutions. Disaster management, we have used AI. You may be aware that India has deployed ITU CAP-based disaster management system, as well as 3GPP cell broadcast-based disaster management system, which is implemented across India. We use AI here, because what happens, like IMD is giving me a warning on rain, CWC is giving me warning on flood, weather report is coming. So we federate all these inputs and
Dr.
using
Upadhyay,
AI.
you have
last slide,
less than 2 minutes.
Last slide. Yeah. So this I won't go through. NMS, of course, we use AI to see that when the network is likely to be down, and this is actually implemented in BharatNet 1 and 2. It tells you that this is likely to fail, this router is misbehaving, or this node is misbehaving. So that was my last slide. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying, that the lot of AI applications are needed for the customer side to protect the customers, and India has made a good progress in terms of reducing the frauds, reducing the fraudulent connections, therefore safeguarding the customers, and we'll be very happy to take these technologies to any part of the world, given it is implemented at India scale. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay. That was very interesting, the flavor and of the kind of R&D that has been done and the apps that have been developed. We now move to someone on the panel, Mr. Matan Babu Kashilingam, who is representing the service providers. Yes, and you carry a lot of burden of customer expectations on your shoulders. So do tell us about your thoughts on the topic of today's.
So few things that we have done as a service provider. Majority of the topics are touched upon, from fraud and cyber security. I'm trying to say the role of AI in terms of establishing trust. Our entire whole ecosystem, which is telecom ecosystem, relies primarily on the customer trust. So to ensure that we have given a trust journey for our customers, and in the means of adopting AI, there are various core secure pillars that we have followed through. Any AI adoption should have the reasonability, reliability, trust, privacy should come to deliver that. So as a TSP, when we have embarked on the journey of AI, that's the first and foremost core element that we have taken into consideration. We are one of the TSPs in the country who have taken the journey of privacy since past 5+ years now. Completely certified on PIMS, ISO 27701. We are the only TSP in the country who have governed privacy by design and have certified ourselves against that as well. So that is to only ensure that the trust is given back to the customer. Now I'll come back on the journey of AI adoption. First thing that has happened is consumerization of AI. AI has been part and parcel of our life since all of us learnt about Siri, Alexas, of day-to-day home. We have been living with AI for many years now. So the consumerization of AI happened many years back. What happened in enterprises, there came the pressure of adoption of AI in enterprise. In that, the first and foremost thing that we did is we took as applied in consumer, let's try and adopt it in enterprises as well. Obviously, it has its own benefit. The benefit being it shares quick win. Right? So you get to see a first yearly win that you are able to see by deploying AI in your setup. So how enterprises embarked on that journey is you pick and choose one department, one function, one key problem that you are faced with, deploy AI in it, and you see results. So we saw all of these examples. Fraud. It's a serious problem for the entire country as a whole. What can we do? Can we leverage AI? And AI is capable of giving me million eyes and million hands in name of a single human operating that, right? So the power of AI came to aid. We are able to today identify fraud. Sir also briefly touched upon cyber security. So as national critical infrastructures, as what we are, as TSPs, today we are pressed with serious amount of attacks. So India apparently in the past 1 year has hosted as many mega significant events, whether it is G20, whether it is Mahakumbh, then there is situational geopolitical tensions that we went by, and now we are hosting AI Summit. So national critical infrastructures like TSPs are also faced with increased volume of cyber attacks. Increased volume, if I tell, would be not 10 times, it would be in as many count that I could multiply with. That is a quantum of increased cyber attacks that we are seeing. Now, in the cyber field, we are also limited with the number of professionals we have. So the power of AI, not just for the attackers, as defenders as well, we have started leveraging, how can we leverage the power of AI to combat them. So we have, so those are quick wins, right? Network operations, with the advent of 5G, we wanted self-operating, self-healing networks. So in various smaller areas where AI can be embarked, that we can realize a very quick business value, enterprises started adopting that. That's the first part, that we wanted the quick win, we saw the quick win. The challenge that came with that is we started seeing them in piecemeal approach. The data that we were working upon was almost similar. You gather this intelligence, information from the same network elements and nodes, but you started to look upon through different lenses. All that I need to do is to look through different lens, but I started creating individual siloed repository of data. So if you look at corporates today that have embarked AI, you will see as many isolated silos of data created for them, because each of them want their lens, and for every lens, they didn't see the data through the lens, they created a total isolation of the data. Second thing that happened is mammoth amount of infrastructure. Anybody who touches AI today talks about GPUs, humongous power that is required to run, etc., etc. That again at enterprise, it is siloed data, siloed infrastructure that has been taken into account. So the journey that we are today in is, we had the quick wins, we have taken the first few steps, but we are re-looking at from a different standpoint as we see currently. So we have stepped back. Is there data deduplication that can be done today? In lieu of 20, 30 silos that I have created, do I want to create one single repository of this data? Thereby the secure element also becomes easier. If in silo I have to secure everywhere, bring them in one area, I have the ability to secure them well. Can I leverage a common platform infrastructure, which is the AI infrastructure that is required to put the data and then do these work? We are doing that. So you can still leverage a comprehensive LLMs. Individual businesses in variety of functions have taken their own purpose-built LLMs, right? Because you will have a HR function. The provider for HR is a specific, say SAP would be primarily driven for HR, and surrounding systems which are talking AI would have built on top of it. There will be a self-healing network. The network provider builds an AI-driven system. So there we are now stepping back to see, can we build a comprehensive central LLM which will still deliver the purpose that are required for looking at. So at we, the premise is core infrastructure, put data in comprehensive, expose them through interconnected enterprise API architecture. Thereby businesses and users do not have to talk to the data directly. They talk through the enterprise model, touch the AI infrastructure and go and reach back the data for various reasons, right? So it could be to service my service provider, it could be to service my customer, it could be my customer support, leveraging them. That's the platform journey that we are doing that. So this consolidation, like I told, privacy is by design. We are able to do the DPDP compliance inclusive, which is minimize the data in one area, we are able to minimize them as appropriate. That's what I wanted to share with. Yeah.
Thank you. Fascinating. Now we come to Mr. Abbas, who is the senior DDG from TEC standard setting. He's promised that he will make a different presentation. So over to you, Mr. Abbas.
Presentation can be put.
Presentation.
Respected Chairman TRAI, Member TRAI, distinguished panelists, senior officers of TRAI, delegates in this India AI Mission Summit, and ladies and gentlemen. So in this session, I am presenting a thought on the schema and taxonomy of the AI incident database. Basically, Telecommunication Engineering Center is a standard formulating agency. So we have formulated this standard in which any AI related incidents can be reported by the users, by the developers, by the deployers, and then a database can be created so that it can be analyzed and the incident can be minimized with that. So basically, with the rapid growth in the use of AI, so there will be some unintended results also from the AI. So there will be bias, there can be some privacy issues, there can be unintended results. So those things can be reported by the users. So this standard is not mandatory, it is totally voluntary. Just for collecting the data and analyzing it, this standard has been formulated. This has not been basically implemented anywhere in the world. We have come out with so many research papers and different IEEE journals, and based on that, this database has been prepared and this standard has been prepared. So basically, the purpose is to develop a reliable data set for analysis and prevention of those strategies. So the schema refers to the matter where how the incidents are collected, how it is a structured compilation of the incidents. So that gives how the incidents are reported, that gives the schema. And taxonomy refers to how we categorize it into different classification based on the impact of the incidents, say its severity, its harm, which type of incident has taken place. So these two things have been incorporated into this standard. So this is the first page of the standard, which TEC has issued last year in November 2025. So in the schema of the things, we have developed 30 key fields in which whoever is reporting the AI incident can report the AI incidents by filling out those key fields which relates to basically, and who it can use by, so developers and deployers. Developer can use it during the development phase and during the testing phase also if there is any problem, and then after deployment the service providers and the users also can take it. So what will be the advantage? When such database will be available, then the policy makers can use this database to make the AI policy aligned with those things. And research and academia also can use it for basically doing the research related to AI safety and ethics and performance. So these are the key fields which we have included in the schema, that whenever a AI incident is being reported, what should be the field in which the input should be given. So these are related to incident identification details, then incident description and root cause of the incidents. Basically, some of the inputs will be given by the user if the user is reporting, and then many inputs will be then fed by the service provider or the deployer who has deployed those AI application. And then it will complete the entire structured compilation of the incident reporting. Similarly, the AI application information related, that what is the name of application, what is the technology used, what is the purpose, like that. Then what was the impact or harm information with the, what was the incident, like physical harm, environmental, property, psychological. So these things also forms part of the 30 key fields in which the input is to be given for the schema. And then some of the information which is to be masked later on, so those related to the name of the submitter, email and other things related to submitter information, which will be redacted later on. Similarly, the taxonomy, as earlier I told, that it will classify the incident into different categories depending upon the incident type, whether it is a subcategory as network description, service quality outage, or it is a security breach or AI mismanagement, or then affected system, whether core is affected, whether the radio access network is affected, whether the edge is affected, or IoT components or physical. So which part of the network is affected, or any application which is related to user is affected. And then what is the incident severity, whether it is critical, high, moderate, or low. So that also will be recorded. And cause of failure, if it is known to the user, otherwise the deployer or the service provider has to enter this, what was the cause of the failure. So basically, this database will give input to the service provider also, that they themselves can examine it, they can analyze it, and then realign their AI related applications so that these incidents don't recur in future. So it's a gradual auto development of their own AI system, which will be then error free and gives the best results output. So for this is only this standard has been made, but it is not going to give any mitigation mechanism or something. This is to be decided by the deployer who has deployed those AI application, and it is not mandatory. Just as a beginning, when the new computer system came, initially there was not much thing, but when the incident started, then computer emergency response team CERTIN was proposed, and it started working on collecting the data related to the computer incident. So similarly, since the AI has already begun, so we should have this mechanism in place so that we can have the AI incident reporting database also available. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abbas. Presenting arguably, and congratulations, arguably the world's first time that such a standard has been put out. So since we are fresh off with you, I will start with a question for you about what you've just now presented. You said it is not mandatory, it is voluntary. Of course, we will see where that journey goes, as you said about CERTIN coming in after the computers. But can you tell us a little bit more about what value it offers to the telecom service providers, if they voluntarily adopt this standard?
So telecom service providers, they have already started using the AI application in their network, optimization network and services to the users, orchestration of resources. So many things already the AI application has started. So if any incident which gives an unintended outcome, if it is recorded and reported, then it will be in the best interest of the service provider that those incidents are analyzed and then rectified for so that it is not occurring in the future. So in this way, it is can be best utilized by the service provider. And since the structure of the schema and taxonomy both are given, so it will be a same structure compilation of data which every service provider is doing. So that will give benefit to the regulator and policy makers to how to go about the AI policy because of those input which we get from those incidents.
So therefore, Mr. Kashilingam, would you think it offers a voluntary adoption of this standard offers any benefit to you from the side of a service provider?
I think, like sir rightly mentioned about incident recording has been not a new phenomenon for at least people who have been in the IT industry. Recording cyber-specific incident additionally has also started happening. However, we have tied back to the same ITIL framework that has been there historically followed. So enhanced AI is yet another tool which is landing up creating possibly an outcome. The outcome could be erroneous, it could be an event, incident, bias could be one of the situations that are arising. So as TSPs, individually, while we have started doing this internally, as we have adapted the journey of AI for us, these are recorded events. But one manner that it helps and supports in the framework as TEC has put across is, yes, it can be streamlined in a manner that the rest of the populace, if they have to refer by, can also be referred. Because today, there are no standalone companies, right? Every company is in the area of digital and IT. They are only doing work in their own function. If you ask a bank has to tell that I am an IT company in the service of doing banking. That is how it is changed. So IT plays a crucial role, and AI will be a supporting arm in that. So this record keeping will make the ability for us to scale our AI and models as appropriately.
Yeah.
With the advent that India wants to, and we have already announced 3 LLMs coming our way, already homegrown, home developed here. A platform like this will possibly help us manage and then refine our models well.
Yeah, so you mentioned, how enterprises are becoming digital first. Now, you also spoke in your initial remarks about AI for enterprises, correct? So how do you look at this controlling costs of, costs? The infra part you did deal with, but how about the costs of AI for enterprises? Any thoughts on that?
Currently, it is still a significant amount that is being incurred upon. So the cost optimization, a larger chunk of cost optimization comes from the infrastructure as a whole. So about 80-90% of the cost to AI goes primarily on the infra in itself, both in store and as well in compute. The rest obviously comes in the skills. So today, while we definitely showcase the world that we have humongous talents that are getting built in the AI area, for an enterprise still to have these skilled engineers to build upon AI is still an adaptable work in progress area. So I think in the journey, we are now looking at AI to come in the aid of AI. So we were in conversation with one of the AI-driven company yesterday, and the way he highlighted back to us, telling that earlier the total employee base was 10,000. Now there is a refinement and optimization by incorporating AI, and thereby there is reduction in employee base. But then if we look at the people who are operating in AI, which was 30, now has gone to 3,000. So you cut down here and increase over there. So we were trying to tell them that the true power of AI is actually in making sure that AI is not touched with people, human. So reduction in human by upskilling that as appropriately is an important element for us to do.
Thank you. I'll come to you, Dr. Upadhyay. You did, I know I cut you off or sort of gave you a time pause there. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you were doing, what you're doing with respect to disaster management, the application that you spoke about?
Disaster, yeah.
Yeah.
So, disaster management, as you know, earlier how it used to happen. Suppose there is a cyclone in Odisha. A mail will go from IMD to Chief Secretary. Chief Secretary will write to District Collector. District Collector would, in his best way, try to send that the cyclone is likely to come. And we used to have thousands of lives, lost, property loss. Today, using AI and the sensors, the system what we have done, this is one unified platform where all the alert generating agencies, IMD, CWC, FRI, DGSC, so all alert generating agencies are connected through APIs, auto. All the telecom operators are connected. All the alert dissemination agencies like SDMAs in the states are connected. So it is all powerful one system. Now there is an alarm, a sensor alarm comes that there is a cyclone likely to or rain likely. This is automatically read by the system. It prepares the message and finds out what is the geo-targeted area. Because earlier the problem was they will put these kind of threats, but nothing will happen. So people will take next time it very casually. But today it is a geo-targeted system. It will alert only to the people who are in that belt. Suppose there is a cyclone hitting Gopalpur in Odisha, it will only alert the people who are likely to be affected much before. And it will tell you also, you need to vacate, you need to evacuate. If you need to evacuate, what is the arrangement by the government? Or you need to stay indoors. So all that happens. And it was actually presented in Parliament. The death in, for example, I am taking the case of Odisha where thousands of people died in 99. The death is 0. So what happened that after that we implemented, because India is a large country and sometime a large population is to be alerted in some other cases. That time SMS gets delayed. You know, SMS is a sequential process. SMS is sent by SMSCs. There was a new technology called cell broadcast where you don't, since the message is common, you don't send through SMS, you just broadcast it. So we developed a technology called cell broadcast and it was recently used in Cyclone Montha. And how do you use AI? Because now I am getting inputs from various agencies. I federate it, my system federates all these information using AI, builds one particular message, finds out what is the right area where it is likely to hit and sends only to those people. And the beauty of this system is, earlier there was a system of group SMS. They will find people who are staying there. Now even if you are a foreigner, you are available at that particular time there, it will pick your number and it will give you the message. So tsunami is coming. So we don't know, people may be from here and there at the beach. So this has a very good, and in fact we have published a paper in ITU. ITU has taken this as a report. So this is going forward, we feel that this particular system will meet the requirement of early warning for all by UN by 2027, and we are already talking to many countries, and soon this solution will be deployed in few countries, which is...
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, in your presentation, you also spoke about Fraud Pro and so on. But I will, in the interest of time, I'll move to Mr. Gorman about this fraud and scam. Now, you did, in your opening remarks, talk about the importance of collaboration across sectors. Also, the opportunities of, you know, of engendering innovation through collaboration for controlling or combating scams. Could you elaborate a bit upon that?
Sure, thanks for that question. I think this builds on actually the last couple of comments. I mean, what we're talking about here is sharing data between multi-parties through standardized interfaces and then using AI or something or other to produce a good outcome. And all these things are innovations. They're on the leading edge of something. If I start with the first thing, data sharing through standard interfaces. The standard interfaces, you know, GSMA has Open Gateway APIs program, and that is contributing to providing data points which can be used in assessing risk and for transactions. There's other data that can be shared that could help address scams earlier in the cycle. Example, there's lots of other data points to do, and that's the proof of concept that GSMA is working on in Southeast Asia, sharing data. The challenge with doing that is you're at the borders of regulatory compliance. You're talking about private information or personal information, or maybe not. There's sometimes debate. But to be effective, you're talking about being able to measure the risk on a particular individual user by sharing information across multiple parties. That requires some regulatory support, sandboxes or other activities to help find, to develop the innovation that finds the solutions that help combat scams. And I think one of the things we need to focus on in industry is how do we create that nurturing environment that permits exploration of data sharing in a privacy enhanced way. There's lots of nice new technologies that have the impact while complying with the regulations and the privacy we want to maintain. But ultimately, from a mobile operator point of view, I would say there's 4 pillars in this combating scam thing. The one is the network, making sure the network cannot be manipulated but in favor of the scammers. And that's by CLI spoofing, all that sort of stuff. Let's cut that out. If you introduce AI, there's other things you can do on top. The second is, what can mobile operators expose to the ecosystem so that the ecosystem can measure and respond to risk? open gateway APIs is one thing. The POC I talked about before is another, and there may be other things. The third is, what can mobile operators provide as services to their customers? In the same way, in the physical environment, you can provide hard hats and things like that. There's things you can help customers, and they can choose to acquire or choose to use them of their own choice to help protect them online. And the fourth thing is digital skills. Digital skills, historically, we've considered is a destination. In actual fact, we now know we're never going to hit that final point. Skills are going to continue to and to adapt. And it's critical that we focus on all four pillars, and that from a regulatory point of view and ecosystem point of view, we're collaborating so that the data can flow, we can try and test things, and we overcome the prejudice that may be stopping innovation, because there's an expectation that you can't do these things. So it requires policymakers, regulatory to sponsor, to nurture these things. I mean, I can guarantee I work into 90% of mobile operators in Asia Pacific, and I start a sentence with, I want to suggest we use consumer data for. I won't get past halfway through the sentence. They'll say, nope, you can't do that. But in actual fact, if we want to be successful, no single entity, especially no mobile operator, has all the information. I mean, if a mobile operator arbitrarily starts turning off SIM cards because they think maybe that traffic looks a bit dubious, I mean, you've only got to look at the Optus outage in Australia, where 3 or 4 people died because they couldn't call emergency services. You don't want to be taking that action. It requires collaboration, regulatory support, and policy support.
Yeah, thank you. Network, ecosystem, hard hats, and upskilling. I think that's a good way to end the discussion here on the panel. But we have time for one question. Yes, Mr. Jha. We have less than 2 minutes.
Thank you. Very quick, very brief. The question from Mr. Julian Gorman. As we have said, we are under attack, maybe attack anytime. We have also said that we should align with the global trends in order to combat these fraud and all those things. You have heard our panelists who are the icons in their field of manufacturing and standardization and TSPs. Could you suggest 2 steps that global leaders should take to align the world with themselves, and 2 steps that India should take to align with the world? Thank you.
I mean, 2 steps globally. So the proof of concept we're trying to do in Southeast Asia is actually prove that data can be shared domestically but across borders also in a safe, secure way, and has impact on controlling scams. One thing we need to remember with scams, all we're doing by taking action against scams is increasing the cost of the business case. And if we increase the cost of the business case here, then another area becomes more favorable. And that could be just different types of scams, or it could be different locations. And so that leads to the what do we need to do globally? We need to act across borders. We need to act as a collective global community. GSMA has a program called United Against Scams. There'll be a lot of things about that in Barcelona. But, India is obviously taking great action domestically, or taking steps domestically. Sharing that knowledge across borders and being able to share that data across borders is important. And so, I would leave it at those 2 points.
Thank you. It also gives us pause for thought. Maybe as regulators, we also need to look at collaborative efforts across regulators, so that, because there are again sectoral issues that we need to do. And so with that, we are now at the end of the session. I would request the audience to give a big round of applause to my panelists who have given us very good insight into the topic at hand. And thank you so much.
Thank you, moderator, sir, and all our distinguished panelists for such a vibrant discussion on usage of responsible AI, the standards, the repository, various government app for enhancing consumer experience. Your insights will greatly benefit the overall digital ecosystem. Now I would request Dr. M.P. Tangirala ji to present mementos to our distinguished speakers as a token of appreciation. First to Mr. Julian Gorman. To Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay. To Mr. Mathan Babu. to Mr. S.T. Abbas. Now, I invite Shri A.K. Jha, Principal Advisor, TRAI, to present a memento to the moderator of this session, Dr. M.P. Tangirala ji, as a token of appreciation for moderating such a productive session. Thank you so much, sirs. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Now, I take this opportunity to invite all the speakers for a group photograph. I once again would request Chairman, sir, Mittal, sir, Secretary, sir, and all the principal advisors to please join the session speakers of this panel for a group photograph. Give a huge round of applause to all the panelists.